Mia is an Uber driver who had just dropped off a passenger at a shopping center and was crossing an intersection to pick up another passenger from a store across the street. She was almost completely through the intersection when, at the last second, she noticed the grille of a semi-truck approaching her at full speed. Mia's life flashed before her eyes, and she told us she thought it was all over. She tried to swerve before the semi hit her, but the impact pushed her into a vehicle in the left turn lane. All her airbags deployed, and she opened her door almost immediately to escape the powder from the airbags, making it difficult for her to breathe. A healthcare worker witnessed the collision and was on scene within seconds, assessing her condition and calming her down. A witness to the collision came over from the opposite side of the intersection and started saying Mia had run a red light. She immediately hit the dashcam button on her Tesla several times to ensure the footage would be saved, as it was the only proof she had that her light had been green. Mia was transported to the hospital and later released with some sprains and deep tissue bruising. After getting home, Mia reviewed her Teslacam footage and discovered the trucker had made no attempt to stop. Mia thinks he must have been on his phone, as her light had been green for at least 6 seconds before the impact. Mia is convinced that if she'd been in any other vehicle, she might not be alive to tell her story. She's thankful to Tesla for building absolute tanks. We've seen an increase in Tesla versus Tesla road rage incidents in the last couple of weeks, as our next video will demonstrate. First of all, we just want to say, take it easy out there, Tesla drivers. This submitter's father was heading toward the Bay on I-580. Traffic was flowing smoothly until a Model Y Performance entering the on-ramp crossed 5 lanes of the 7-lane highway. The Model Y abruptly cut into a small gap, setting off the collision warning sensors of our submitter's Model 3, even though the left lane was clear. The situation frustrated our submitter's father, especially considering everything was going fine until this Model Y showed up, but he chose not to escalate. Later, as they both approached an exit, the Model Y driver seemed to have mellowed out. We're sure that had nothing to do with the fact that this section of California State Route 84 tends to have police presence during this time of day. That's when our submitter's father saw an opportunity for some payback. He noticed the Model Y was speeding up, seemingly in an attempt to cut in front of him before he passed a semi-truck on his right. Instead, he accelerated, closing the gap and blocking the Model Y. The Model Y driver then began tailgating him aggressively, and when he got uncomfortably close, our submitter's father brake-checked him before speeding up next to the semi, making it obvious his actions were deliberate. After a while, the Model Y driver illegally sped past him between the lanes. At one point, they started weaving within their lane, almost like the traffic brakes we've seen CHP officers perform to slow down traffic. When the traffic light turned green, the Model Y driver didn't move, perhaps trying to provoke our submitter's father, but he didn't take the bait. Our submitter told us that road raging is a generational habit passed down from his father and from his father. He said they know exactly how to provoke other drivers and how to avoid giving other road ragers satisfaction. Weird flex, but okay. The Model Y then sped off, but then the driver slowed down when they came to a construction zone where traffic had been reduced to a single lane in each direction. After the construction zone ended, the Model Y driver floored the juice pedal and took off. Rather than chiming in with our own opinions, we'll leave it up to you to decide who was in the wrong in this situation. This submitter was driving his Model Y in Poland when the vehicle ahead of him lost its trailer, which nearly hit an oncoming car. Our submitter stopped and also honked in an attempt to signal the driver who'd lost the trailer. Now that was a close one. Steve was driving home from a supercharger with his son Jason when they realized they were driving alongside a marathon with lots of runners and people cheering. All the other drivers were driving very carefully around the marathon runners. Well, almost all of them. Out of nowhere, an excessively fast blue Mitsubishi Mirage nearly hit the Ford Mustang in front of Steve. Thankfully, nobody was hurt. Some people need to have patience when driving near events like this. Steve kept going, thankful it had only been a close call, and Jason told him that's a Wham Bam clip. Soos was driving down a highway in the Netherlands when traffic started to slow down for a collision up ahead. Many drivers, including Soos, activated their hazard lights to warn other drivers. Traffic had been moving slowly for about 30 seconds when a truck driver not paying attention plowed into traffic. The truck hit the Opel behind Soos, pushing it into the back of Soos's Model 3. After the collision happened, Seuss immediately called 911 and emergency services responded less than 10 minutes later. Thankfully, other drivers helped clear the scene and direct traffic before emergency services arrived. Everyone walked away from the collision and the van driver's insurance company accepted full responsibility. Seuss told us it was a stressful experience, but she's grateful she was driving a Tesla. Fixing the damage to her Tesla cost approximately 9,500 euros, about $10,000 at current exchange rates. The Tesla repair center was so busy, it took about 3 months to get the damage repaired. Kenko was driving his Model Y down a highway in Milwaukee. Rain was pouring down and most of the drivers were taking things slow, but not all of them. A Hyundai came speeding up behind Kenko, and from the looks of it, this wasn't the Hyundai driver's first rodeo. The Hyundai lost control in front of an SUV, which then overcorrected, causing mayhem on the road ahead of Kenko. Kenko pulled over on the other side of the ramp. The police were already pursuing the Hyundai and were on the scene immediately. Okay, so maybe that's why the driver was in such a rush. Drivers were dodging the debris, so Kenko decided to leave before becoming collateral damage. Bill was leaving a restaurant and was slowly backing up when another vehicle quickly entered the driveway behind him. Bill hit its fender, as he describes it, in a swiping motion. Bill had been watching his backup camera view as he slowly backed up. At the moment that he looked left to watch for traffic entering the driveway, the vehicle he hit was already in his blind spot and he failed to see it. The woman driving the other vehicle has hired an attorney and is claiming she was injured. Based on how quickly she swooped in behind his Tesla, Bill suspects she may be attempting to defraud him. He filed a complaint with the Department of Insurance accusing her of falsely claiming to be injured. We've asked Bill to let us know what happens. Subscribe so you won't miss any updates. This submitter was driving his Model Y in San Francisco, and Wham Bam immediately recognized this road when he reviewed this video. True fans will remember this road from the video we featured of Rich chasing a car thief who'd stolen his colleague's car. That insane video is sitting at over 700,000 views, but let's get back to this one. This submitter was driving down this famous Wham Bam road when he approached a roundabout and yielded to a car coming from his left. That car ended up exiting the roundabout. The driver of the black Mini Cooper behind our submitter got upset that he'd stopped and honked. When our submitter proceeded slowly through the roundabout, the driver of the Mini Cooper tried to overtake him on the inside, but they ended up colliding. After the collision, it looked like the Mini Cooper driver was signaling for our submitter to pull over and stop, but the Mini Cooper just drove away, making this a hit and run. Our submitter called the police and filed an insurance claim with the Mini Cooper driver's insurance provider, but they denied any responsibility since the collision wasn't visible in the video. Sadly, the Teslacam made a cut in the video right when it was writing one file and before starting the next, skipping the moment where the actual impact occurred. Our submitter ended up filing a claim with his own insurance provider, Tesla Insurance, and the current repair estimate is at $1,400 US. Gabe was driving his brand new Model 3 in San Francisco when he moved over to make room for double-parked cars. When he did, he watched someone throw ice cream out of the double-parked Jeep. Gabe told us he's been watching Wham Bam Teslacam for a while now, and he always knew rolling coal was a pickup driver's way of protesting Teslas, but he wonders if things have now escalated to throwing ice cream. Kevin was driving down Highway 2 in Ontario when he noticed traffic slowing down and flashing blue lights up ahead. Suddenly, he realized there was a police pursuit in progress. Wow, it seems like Kevin found himself in the middle of an action movie. As he got closer, he realized it was actually more like a cowboy movie. A horse was on the loose, and guys in pickup trucks were trying to lasso it. Kevin pulled over to stay out of the way, and thankfully, the Cowboys eventually cornered and caught the horse. Alex was on his way to the gym and had just entered the highway when he instinctively merged over to his usual lane. Suddenly, a van driver veered left to avoid a disabled vehicle in the exit lane. The van plowed into a coned-off zone before spinning out of control and colliding with the median barrier. Alex pulled over and immediately called 911 before getting out and making sure everyone was okay. Thankfully, both the driver and passenger of the disabled vehicle were okay, and they remained on the shoulder after getting out of the vehicle. The driver of the van that had spun out checked for damage before leaving the scene. Police had already been called and showed up moments later. Alex left as they were arriving, but he told us everyone was safe. R was driving his Model Y in Boston, Massachusetts when he noticed a semi-truck tailgating a dump truck. What he didn't know was that he had front row tickets to two truckers road raging with each other and putting other drivers at risk in rush hour traffic. The semi-driver cut off the dump truck, evidently making the dump truck driver's blood boil. He then tried to overtake the semi, but the semi-driver moved over to block him before they both sped off into a tunnel with the dump truck closely tailgating the semi. Eventually, the dump truck driver tried to overtake the semi on the right, but he was once again cut off and blocked by the semi. Our submitter thanks God no other vehicles were crushed between the trucks in this ego display before the dump truck driver backed off and took an exit. Our submitter intentionally got close to both trucks to capture their license plate numbers on Teslacam. Still, he doesn't know if anything can be done to hold the drivers accountable. Let us know in the comments if you think he should make a police report or just let the whole thing go. Node Guy had just stopped at a red light when he watched another Tesla driver nearly drive into a light pole while making a protected left turn.
That Tesla man can't drive! That Tesla man can't drive! That
Node Guy told us he isn't sure what they were thinking or doing. After the close call, the other driver pulled over and did it again. What do you think was going on? Jackie's sister-in-law was returning home in Jackie's Tesla and was rear-ended on the highway right after dropping Jackie and his wife off at the airport. Jackie had just checked in when he got the news, which he told us was a great way to start the vacation. Thankfully, nobody was hurt. Jackie still took the vacation, and he told us he'll handle the insurance process when he gets back. Chris sent us a video of a rather unusual Honda bump. A Honda driver's passenger rear-ended him. Chris told us it was great to see a gentleman who both took care of his car by avoiding any door dings and who took care of his lady at the same time. It looks like she appreciated the gesture too. I think he's definitely this week's real MVP.